he is willing to negotiate. So that's why.
Dude. I think anyone that thinks that there's any stability from Donald Trump is on fumes at this point. They're puffing maximalist copium. They're on crack cocaine, fentanyl, they're doing a speedball with fentanyl on the side. Donald Trump has demonstrated over the course of his week alone that he is a madman, hell-bent on destruction and incredibly stubborn and does not give a fuck. Yes, there are moments where he reflects a little bit, but it's demonstrated from the reality that he still tries to function to create a trade embargo against our largest trading partner. That's in and of itself. Like, how do you look at that and go, yeah, no, this guy...
Pero culiao, no forma!
No. He said he was going to kill you and then he chopped your leg off. That doesn't mean that you're in a better position overall than before he came into the room. You're legless now. You took one of your legs out. How the fuck do you sit there and be like, well, at least you like, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
Let's see you go like this!
You gotta stop. Put down the crack pipe.
The end of the
They're
world
so
is
desperate to be
nigh.
like, this is the problem, okay? This is the problem with like institutional defenders where they're like, this entire thing can't collapse, right? On the whims of a madman. Like, that can't happen. There's no way. And I think people are just gonna go to their death saying, oh, no.
You think you can stand in my way? Ya me tiene cansado.
Something that he will respond to. See? He reacted in the way that we wanted him to. It's like, no, he didn't. He actually didn't do that at all. Did you want the art of the
Dios. Dame tiempo para irme, la concha por lo menos.
severing trade ties?
Monstruo de joder a mi puta.
Trading partner and something supplying universal tariffs to all of our other trading partners?
Ya está.
Basically a de facto 10% sales tax increase. Inflation, automatic inflation.
You think you can run?
This is not. It's not like
for the greater good.
this isn't. If you look at the situation and go, well, this truly spells order.
No choice.
You're insane. You're an insane person. There's nothing orderly about what Donald Trump has done this fucking past week. The only reason why we think there's order is because we essentially believe that there's something going on there, that he's responsive to something, anything, and not simply insane.
And on that, there's been a lot of really interesting reporting that China has been preparing for this for a long time and is ready to unleash even more pain as it would be a very long fight.
One of the funniest aspects of Donald Trump's madness, by the way, and his favorite grab, was when he just straight up did insider trading. Like, a bunch of his homies, and we'll find out who, especially those in Congress, when they in like 9 days, they have to reveal their trade position. Okay. But the insanity was just right before Donald Trump made his announcement. Right before Donald Trump made his announcement, releasing the terrorists, okay, putting a 9-day pause, like, people started trading like crazy. That's insane. Now, the expectation...
No, bueno, ya. ¿Cómo querés que salga de esta, man? Dejate de joder, man.
They're going to punish these people that are doing insider trading. Donald Trump maybe also could be the first person who's ever done outsider trading as well.
Tengo dos pozos y me los voy a administrar.
If you think that the SEC is going to look into this, you're out of your
Puta.
because
Pero pará.
state is completely captive to Donald Trump.
Ah, ya me tiene cansado este gordo hijo de puta.
Or agency that can like go against the big dog. Here, Donald Trump's audio was caught on this video. His billionaire friends made billions as doing terrorist and stock market manipulation. The SEC needs to investigate. Yeah, good luck.
Burn you alive.
humble banana behind what he's saying here, right?
I plan for every contingency.
You made billions.
The end of the world is nigh.
Oh yeah. Robert Barrett speedrun? Oh yeah. NASDAQ call volume 5 minutes before the 90-day tariff pause is announced. Not a good look at all. Yeah, I wonder. Not a good look at all.
Burn to ash, demon
How
of
did that happen?
Azotl.
How did this happen? Dude, it's so funny. Like I said, it's transparent. The graph is transparent. Okay? It's out there. It's open. It's for all to see. He did this with cryptocurrency first, where he just straight up was like, I mean, he did a fucking crypto rumble before the day before his inauguration. He did a fucking cryptocurrency launch. Okay? It was insane. And then what did he do? He did the exact, he's treating the stock market like fucking cryptocurrency.
I cannot allow you to interfere.
Straightforward robber baron shit. It's funny because like the average American is too busy living paycheck to paycheck.
¿Por qué no se me recarga la pócima?
Dale, lobito de nada,
Okay.
¡Déjame!
no podés más, bro.
¡Déjame, boludo! Anda al gimnasio vos, tranquilo.
Bueno, bro, comé.
Vos tranquilizate, vos anda al gimnasio, tranquilo. Yo estoy bien, mira. Ay, para. No puedo.
Con gafas ya y todo.
¡No!
Didn't stand a chance.
To actually recognize they're getting fucked
Le
over.
encanta su despacho. Tiene el podcast, a la vez que juega a la Play, a la vez que escucha la economía.
Mira, despacho.
Ay,
Literal, mi despacho. Ay.
What are China's outputs? Okay, so
No, yo no puedo creer, man.
today with China in the same boat. They had a little bit more unpaid and fixed on them compared to everyone else, but they were more or less in the same boat. Now they are completely isolated, and that is a strategy deliberately designed by Donald Trump to make the Chinese regret retaliating. In terms of who blinks first, whether it's going to be Donald Trump, whether it's going to be Xi Jinping, Kate, your guess is as good as mine. But what I will say is that we've talked a lot on this show about American consumers and the fact that they are going to suffer in all of this. What I think is also important to note is that the Chinese economy has been suffering for quite some time. They're dealing with slower growth, slower GDP. They have a real estate market crunch.
What the hell? Yo, that was crazy. What the hell? What the hell? What the heck? That was weird. That was weird as hell. That's the internet telling you to stop watching CNN? Bro, it's not the... Ooh, the problem there wasn't me watching CNN. It happened right as I retweeted the Chinese embassy, bro. I swear to God. Chinese embassy, we don't back down. We are Mao Ning, spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, says we are Chinese. We are not afraid of provocations. We don't back down. They dusted the old Mao tapes and brought it out. And the Chinese embassy in the U.S. said, we don't back down. And I quote retweeted and said, they're aura farming with Mao. I'm losing it. And then boom, I got blasted into orbit. Suspicious F right there. Very suspicious F. The CIA hit my stream with a heart attack gun. Stop watching the Clinton News Network. I thought you were apolitical. Don't worry, brother. I'm an American patriot. Are you Chinese CIA? Fucking wish, dude. Are you joking? It's called Havana Syndrome. It's called Havana Good Time, chat. All right, let's keep going.
This decision by him of how to respond to this is just as much economic as it is political. The good news, as you talked about, Xi Jinping has had time to prepare. We saw this coming, of course. but they have a controlled economy. So they have levers that they could pull in order to shield their economy from tariffs. So for example, they're already devaluing the currency just to make their exports a little bit cheaper. And that's why we're seeing Asian markets, especially the Shanghai Composite, rallying on the hope that perhaps there is going to be a deal.
Yeah, so who has the upper hand in this, we'll call it a chess match right now, and we will see more evidence of that today.
We'll see.
That's great to see. Thank you so much. John.
All right, joining us now, Jason Furman, the former chair of the Council of Economic Advisors and now a professor of economic policy practice at the Harvard Kennedy School. Professor, thanks so much for being with us. So is this a case now of no harm, no foul, the tumult over?
Absolutely not. This is above and beyond what the president campaigned on doing. And at the time, most people discounted those threats and thought he'd only fulfill.
This, surely this is a sign of stability and order when you got a situation where people are like, oh, no one believed his campaign promises. I mean, come on now. Just a normal political process here in the United States of America where you just go, remember when he said tariffs is the most beautiful word in the English language? No one fucking believed him. They thought maybe it's like the 10th most beautiful word in the English language. Oh man, we all thought he was playing around, dude. Why would you think that? Why would you think that he was playing around? This shit's so goddamn annoying. This cannot be the underlying basis of your political identity, where you go, I'm just voting for this guy because of vibes. I hate this. I'm voting for this guy because of the goddamn vibes. I don't think that he's serious or sincere about his policies, or rather, I haven't really thought thoroughly what would happen if he implemented these policies. Like, not to self-glaze too much here, but I've been fucking screaming about this for a year at this point. Since he started talking about the tariff shit, I was like, this is gonna have a really long-lasting, damaging impact on global trade. How do you not see that? It's the same principle behind mass deportations. You can't do that because it's like, one, incredibly inhumane, two, logistically impossible to do, and three, would collapse American agriculture overnight. For no reason either, by the way, for no good reason. Like, that's not a real fear that people have. It's just completely unwarranted. It improves nothing, and it's just about being a bad person, being mean for the sake of cruelty in and of itself.
Wow.
It pisses me off. It pisses me off when people are just like, well, I didn't think that he was going to do this. I thought he was just joking. Okay, well, I thought he was going to do this, but I didn't think the impact would be this bad. It's like, well, you're a fucking dumbass then. What do you mean? There are plenty of people who knew that it was going to be bad. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? What the hell is this?
Part of it. Tariffs are still very, very high, and we're about to start seeing it in the real economy.
That's a long-winded way of calling Trump supporters stupid. No, Democrats have this stupid dog in them too. There's a lot of people who have this stupidity in them. And it's partially a consequence of, like, I guess, reaping the rewards of living here in the United States of America and having some semblance of stability for so long despite unstable leadership time and time again. But, like, or a lack of confidence in any form of governance actually following through on their agendas. Americans just don't know a world where a politician says they're going to do something and they follow through on it. That's what it is. And they also, quite literally, do not believe the impact of said legislative agenda until it happens. We saw this. We saw this with the abortion stuff. Every single fucking politician said abortion is murder, abortion is murder. Every single fucking right-wing politician said abortion is murder, abortion is murder. You can't do murder. And then, lo and behold, Roe v. Wade gets overturned after the Supreme Court justices straight up lied to the American public. and said it was a super precedent, but then they reversed it, and then everyone was like, okay, some murder is cool, actually. I think we got to do some exceptions for murder.
La lasaña está buena.
Why did they do that? Why did they all of a sudden go, it's not actually all murder? Some of the murder is awesome. I love when you do the murder, actually. Abortion is murder, but some murder is great. Like, why do they do that? It's because people immediately went, oh my God, I never really thought that if abortion was illegal, that my daughter might need to get an abortion one day, and due to a medical complication, for example, and not be able to get it and die. Like, that's fucked up. That's really bad. I didn't think about this. It's like, why didn't you think about this? It's kind of the whole point. The whole point of why we shouldn't be setting these, like, erroneous standards for no fucking reason, because it's going to be ultimately harmful. That's like, there are plenty of people who've been yelling about this for years. I've been yelling about this for years. Same shit with the tariffs. Same shit with mass deportation. Same shit now with the erosion of due process and the erosion of the First Amendment. These are concepts that are literally being taken away from all of us right now. And it's alarming, and I keep ringing the alarm bells, but if you ask the average American, they have no ability to understand that this is fucked up. They have no ability to think, well, this might actually harm me down the line. Americans are always playing catch-up. Liberals and Republicans alike. Liberals and conservatives alike. They're always playing catch-up. Where they go, oh man, I voted for this guy. I think what he's doing is good. I didn't realize that it would inevitably impact me. The leopard's eating my face party. Always.
In the prices that families pay and the layoffs that companies are going to be doing.
All the reporting, it was the bond market that spooked the president and forced his hand, led him to blink here. Can you explain, for all of us who may not have taken Act 10, exactly what was happening with the bond market, and if those fears are still over, or fears are still existing, I should say?
Yeah, normally when you're going into a downturn, you would think that the Fed is going to cut interest rates and interest rates are going to come down. But what was really scary was that interest rates were going way up. And that's because investors around the world, reportedly some of them in Japan, but around the world and in the United States, were more nervous about the United States. They didn't trust our country. They didn't want to lend to our country. And because of that, that made interest rates go up. Just like any other borrower who's not particularly creditworthy is going to end up with higher interest rates.
And the New York Times reporting the president knows what that means as someone who worked in real estate. When interest rates start going up, it just gets harder to do business. What do you think China sees here? We just heard from Zain Asher on this. Do you think they see this as a chance now to talk? Do they feel isolated? Or do they see now that the president will blink when facing some pressures?
The president has shown over and over again in his first term with China, when he would negotiate deals with them, it was largely deals about how to not escalate further.
Oh, look at that. After yesterday's pause, I was like, okay, back from the edge, but I'm still worried about recession dynamics taking hold. I didn't think that 24 hours later we'd be back to staring at this chart of long-term yields. I mean, part of the issue is that I shouldn't even be calling it a pause. Giga tariffs on China. Yeah, this is what I mean. Yesterday, we all looked at the market being green, and I told you this is an insane moment, okay? This is an insane moment where people are very clearly demonstrating that the stock market does not have the fundamentals baked into it, where very clearly people are just hoping on a dream. They're wish casting for stability when no semblance of stability exists. I told you this. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy to go, yeah, actually, things are fine now because we only 10% tariffs universally and like 200% tariffs on China, our largest trading partner. What do you mean? What the fuck do you mean the stock market is supposed to normalize in that process? What are you talking about?
Nadie me saca de acá.
It was just a hope.
Bien tapadito.
People were just wish casting stability. I don't know how so many intelligent people looked at the situation and went, oh, it's rebounding, finally. Okay, there's a brief moment of respite for 90 days. It's like, no, there isn't. There literally is no respite here. Are you fucking stupid? I mean, I guess the answer is yes. I don't know if it was stupidity, denial, or naivete. I just... It's crazy. Jeff Stein for Wobble.
Qué bueno que no me salió de este lado.
Boring point off, but it's remarkable watching how the ostensibly data-driven stock market is driven so heavily by vibe. Shout out to Kyla Scanlon. Nothing has changed from yesterday's today's decline, other than everyone realizing the tariffs on China are now 125%, even though this was known yesterday. That's what I mean. I am not a finance guy. As Stocky correctly pointed out, I don't know shit about the stock market. But the one thing I do know is that it is psychotic to assume that things got better when we are trying to use a hatchet to sever ties with our fucking largest trade partner. Are you stupid that you thought things were gonna get better? It is so obvious an indication of the market's irrationality right here with what happened yesterday. And all these dumb fucks posting the green as though it's any indication of where things are going. Like, what are we talking about? You don't have to be a fucking finance bro or even understand market fundamentals to look at the situation and go, hey guys, I know a lot of people have this unfounded confidence all of a sudden because Donald Trump at least backed away from some of the most meaningful parts of his agenda. But things are still pretty bad, don't you think? At this point, it's like they want the line to keep going up because that's all they've known. So they'll hold on to any glimmer of hope to make the line go up. It is quite literally held together by a bunch of people hallucinating an alternative reality.
I will succeed. The destruction of that water will be repaid 1,000-fold. There is no escape.
A quick read of Stock Trading for Dummies would empower the average individual with all the knowledge they need to realize what the fuck the situation is.
Is nigh.
VIX and VVIX are diverging from each other, i.e. professionals are out of the market right now and retail traders are not known as the most rational actors in the financial markets. Anyone that says this is coping. You are coping. If you think institutional traders do not also engage in this exact same irrational behavior, you are wrong.
Allow you to interfere.
You are unimaginably wrong.
You think you can run?
First and foremost, I don't even believe that retail traders could automatically hit the panic button and cause the market to move in this direction in this decentralized manner where they all just came to the same conclusion. Okay? You cannot do that without institutions. That's number one. Number two, institutional traders also engage in the same exact irrational behavior. The exact same irrational behavior. 100%.
¿Sabes? ¿Ves el rayo ese que hace de hielo en este juego?
Sí.
Si haces un robo, lo esquivas.
Ah.
O sea, aunque pases por debajo de
The reality of the matter is, the market movements from yesterday to today are not just done by retail traders losing confidence or gaining confidence out of nowhere, whereas like institutional traders, institutions themselves are still solidly on board with the market fundamentals and they knew that this wasn't going to happen, blah, blah, blah. No. That's not real. It's just like beyond code. You are doing the same I think you're doing the same, demonstrating the same naivete that I talk about all the time, which is the infallibility of institutions.
Tengo 7.
The idea that
Tengo las 7 pócimas, no las voy a usar.
the idea that, like, no matter what happens, there's some adults in the room, and they're still holding on to.
Yo ahora estoy esperando que se me regenere sola la vida.
Okay.
Mana nunca uso, pero tengo bien construido el tema de regenerar todo lo más posible la vida por sí solo, ¿viste? Por segundo. Guarda. Ah, duró más.
There is nothing funnier to me than watching a bunch of fucking hogs cheering on initiatives that fuck them. Okay? It's funny. I'm sorry. It's fucking hilarious.
You think you can run? Let's see you survive this.
Rather than to de-escalate. But now we're starting from the tariffs on China and the United States. Nearly 100% tariffs on the United States and China. It's really, really hard.
Ay, ¿por qué quedé en la cola, man?
To be able to function, deliver job gains, deliver benefits to consumers in the midst of a very, very extreme trade war. So some which way, someone's going to use the
Qué suerte.
or else we're both.
This is not real. Make shower great again. Go fuck yourself. That's not real. That's funny. Okay. If something goes down 10%, then an up percent, are you back where you started? No, because the decrease is from a bigger number. E.g., 100 minus 10 is 90, plus 9 is 99. Huh? Down 10% and up 10%, then why is your E.g. not 100 minus 10, 90, plus 10, 100? Where'd the 9 come from? Oh my... What? What is going on? Why would it be plus 10 at that point? Does he think 10% of 90 is still 10? Does he think 10% means just 10 always? Like not 10%, but just 10, the actual number. No, there's, I don't care. No. No, we're not doing this. I can't sail into the abyss. This is like when... No. This is like when I watched videos of fucking...
Bueno, ahora me drogo como nunca.
The mirror, see what's behind this towel.
Ahora sí.
I can't do that. I cannot fucking do that.
¡Dale!
Stop it. Stop it. There's already...
¡Dame un bastón, puto!
...that I have to deal with on a fucking daily basis.
Sí, no, dame el bueno.
Con 2 skill points me conformo.
There's already enough. We're laughing about people being like, hell yeah, make the fucking terrorists 400%.
Ahí está, mira, el manto sacrificial. A ver qué poronga es eso. Después salen con lazos. A ver, vamos, yo empecé de arriba. Armadura. Esto no me sirve.
Yeah, make those terrorists 400%. I'll just fucking grind harder. Make the cost of living impossible to survive.
Bueno,
I'll
toma la nieve.
survive somehow.
Talk to me about what you are looking for. I guess in the next hours and days, everything's moving so quickly here. There's so many twists. But what are the next shoes that could drop in your mind?
To me, it's number one, are we hearing about more new tariffs? The president has talked about tariffs on pharmaceuticals, on semiconductors, on lumber. Is he still talking about those new tariffs? Number two, that 10% on every country in the world, that's pretty high. That goes on all our friends and foes alike, with the exception of Russia, which doesn't get it. Is that there to stay, or is that part of the negotiation? And then number three, what's happening with China?
This is CNN breaking news.
Ah, de al lado.
We begin this hour with President.
I do.
¿Qué pasó, culiao?
Like everyone is operating.
Ah, se repite todo de nuevo.
This stuff. Like liberals did this as well.
Ah, entonces sí se vuelve todo a hacer.
Republicans were doing it yesterday, and everyone just goes, "Oh well, the market's green. That means it's good. Everything is good now." And
Ah, qué cagada, man.
red, they're like, "Wait a minute. Why is everything red again? What is going on?" It's like, yeah, everything is confusing to you, of course, because you're stupid. Let me fix the problem here, okay? If you consistently look at market movements without any sort of care or consideration to long-term stability or instability, long-term results of the action that the Trump administration is taking, you're going to be like, I don't get it. It's rain. Now it's green. What's happening? All the time. There was a brief moment where a lot of the Trumpian guard, the Trumpian vanguard was coming out and being like, obviously, market volatility is not indicative of like what happens in the economy broadly. And it was awesome. It was funny hearing them say things that I've been saying for years, right? Of course, they didn't fucking believe it. And they were just saying it because in the interim, they just wanted to defend Donald Trump. That wasn't a principle that they had. They hadn't thought it through. I'll give you a great example, okay? Here is a great example of how the stock market performance doesn't necessarily indicate long-term stability or health for the overall economy, especially for the working class. Mergers and acquisitions. When big company takes over smaller company and then engages in layoffs and, let's say, lays off 20,000 employees, they call that eliminating redundancy. The stock performance is great in that process. But the reality is 20,000 people just got fucking laid off. Do you think that's a good thing? No, of course not. So clearly, this is, in the most reductive term, in the most reductive ways possible, a great indication that maybe the stock market is not reflective to the living conditions of the average American. Perhaps that is a good starting point for all of you. Take that home with you and think about that and expand on that information when you go on this journey. It's pretty basic stuff, really. I don't know how else to explain it to people, really. Like, what can I do other than that? That has been debunked. If you knew Trumponomics, you'd know that. Yeah, my bad.
President Trump said to be in this cabinet as a key part of his second-term agenda hangs in the balance right now up on Capitol Hill. And after a week of tariff whiplash here in the United States as the president's trade war clearly intensifies.
And as we know, Wall Street doesn't like the uncertainty, right? Wednesday's green bounce after the tariffs were paused, that has turned into Thursday's red reality check. Let's go to CNN Chief National Affairs Correspondent Jeff Zeleny at the White House. And Jeff, you have reporting along with your White House colleague about how this all came to be with the pause and this cabinet meeting today as well.
Good morning, Pamela. It certainly was an extraordinary turn of events yesterday, not even quite 24 hours ago, but we have learned that it certainly was the advice that the president was receiving from some members of his cabinet, including the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who will be in that room today when the cabinet is meeting. He was the one, of course, who was really sounding the alarm and telling the president how deep the bond markets were reacting to the president's sweeping tariff plan. So one thing that this whole situation has really shined a light on are the differing pieces of advice that the president was hearing from Scott Bessent, for example, the Treasury Secretary, versus his longtime trade advisor, Peter Navarro, who was urging the president not to make negotiations. The big question, though, heading into this cabinet meeting, is Elon Musk going to be in the room? We have not seen much of him in recent days, but he's been very active on social media, and his view on this sweeping tariff plan was that it was not good for the economy. So he was throwing stones, quite literally, at the top trade advisor. But the top economic advisor...
Is it real that EU is considering removing tariffs on China EVs? Yeah, but I don't think that they're going to... I think what is going to happen, this is my suspicion, this is my speculation, we speculation alert, is that they want some kind of price adjustment from Chinese companies in general. Like, they don't want China to enter the market with uncompetitive, with prices that are impossible to compete with from the European market. So they're going to probably want the they're probably going to want BYD to increase their prices on their end, so that they can maintain trade and allow China to continue manufacturing, make up for some of the manufacturing output that they lost from the United States of America in the short term. But I think it's more so a bluff regardless. I think it's EU bluffing against America. That's what I think. Yeah, EU wants price minimums, exactly. Because there's no way that they would allow China to enter the European market with the prices that China wants to enter the market with, because then they would actually get fucking cleaned out. No one would purchase a European car ever again inside of the EU.
Hello.
I hope it's not just a bluff, and I hope it is a signal for a long-term sustainable trade partnership with China, and perhaps even another indication that the major market of the European Union is moving away from American hegemony into the comfortable bosom of the Chinese empire. The 100 years of Chinese prosperity is upon us. So we shall see. Do you think this will strengthen BRICS and allow for a partitioning of the economy and solidifying socialist power?
Is a lightning.
We'll see. All I can think of is that the more the EU moves in the direction of China, the more insane Trump will get.
Kevin Hassett talked about the cabinet meeting earlier like this.
USTR has informed us that there are maybe 15 countries now that have made explicit offers that we're studying and considering and, deciding whether they're good enough to present to the president. The Chief of Staff's office has asked all the principals that have, skin in the game to come and discuss what their views are about how this should go. And that's what the purpose of the meeting is.
So the offers that Kevin Hassett is talking about there are from allies like Japan, South Korea, and others who have opened lines of communication trying to lower their tariff percentage with the president. So this is all coming as the trade war is very much still on with China. There is no question about that. But the U.S. is trying to sort of circle our allies, if you will, Wolf, to have a united front against China.
And it's interesting, Jeff, Kevin Hassett is also pushing back on suggestions that President Trump actually manipulated the markets when he told people it was a, quote, good time to buy only hours before announcing the pause. Democratic Senator Adam Schiff of California says he plans to write to the White House about it. How is the administration defending itself?
Well, there is no question that timeline of a few hours between when the president sent that message, be cool, time to buy, versus about 1:18 yesterday afternoon East Coast time when the president sent out his message about a pause on this. What happened during that intervening time? Did anyone have a heads up at all? Kevin Hassett, again, the president's top economic advisor, told us a short time ago that there was no insider trading or any type of activities going on, but Democrats on Capitol Hill are not convinced of that. But the reality is, since Republicans control Capitol Hill, there will not be any type of a committee investigation. However, this will be something, a moment in time, really the 4 hours in time yesterday that will be viewed in the coming days. But for now, at least, the trade war on against China, the cabinet meeting is underway shortly, Wolf.
All right, Jeff Zeleny at the White House for us. Jeff, thank you.
So let's check in now with CNN business and politics correspondent Vanessa Yokevich. She is standing by at the New York Stock Exchange. Vanessa, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, well, listen, markets are down this morning coming off that enormous rally yesterday. And I spoke to a veteran trader, Peter Tuckman, just a short time ago, and he told me that the real reaction of Wall Street really comes the day after. Yesterday was this relief rally, and today reality has set in that we are still very much in the middle of a trade war. But still, despite historically high tariffs, that 90-day pause on those high reciprocal tariffs are very welcome news to traders here. I spoke to a few yesterday after the market closed who said that anytime the Dow is up nearly 3,000 points, that is a good day. However, today they are facing down high tariffs on China. That's 125% tariffs.
Like, what happened? Did they open up their fucking eyes? Like, this is what I don't understand. What, like, this was the reality yesterday. What happened? This is why I had a conversation with Nate Hankins where I was like, the money is fake, okay? Like, I'm sorry. You will never convince me that this is real, okay? The value in the stock market is just like, is firmly held together by anything but confidence. It's just crazy.
You have those tariffs in place, 25% on autos. And then, of course, you have that 10% universal tariff that is...
Wait, people are saying it's 145. Did Trump increase it again? What happened? Is that like a thing? I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Once you go past like 40% or even 30% really, it truly doesn't matter. You are just firmly committed. You're just firmly committed to severing trade ties with China. And I think that it's going to get even crazier. I think America is... You want to know what I think Donald Trump's going to try to do? Here's a couple of things that Donald Trump could still try to do. One, try to stop, like, Chinese companies from being traded on. That's number one. But more importantly, try to also enforce some kind of trade embargo or rather punishments on secondary markets that work with China, which was his initial goal with these universal tariffs, like when he was slapping Vietnam with stuff. I think that he doesn't, it's not just about America not trading with China, it's about the rest of the world not trading with China. So I do think that I do think that there's a couple more tools in the tool belt of Mania where, you know, I don't even know how the delisting stocks would work. I don't know. I'm not a stock market guy at all. But I do think that the American initiative in this situation would be to the American move in this situation would basically be to just do North Korea shit to China, but you can't do North Korea shit to China. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't do North Korea or Iran to China. China is far too powerful and far too important to the entire trade regime that we have designed for the past 40 fucking years. China has become undeniable, impossible to avoid. Forex Live. Trump admin. Oh my God. Yep, there it is. Trump admin is moving towards a possible delisting of Chinese public shares. This is psychotic, dude. They are fucking psychotic. Are you joking? Here's a report from Charlie Gasparino at Fox Business. Sources: Trump administration is moving towards a possible delisting of Chinese public co-shares on U.S. exchanges. Sources: incoming SEC Chair Paul Atkins. Dude, everything we're doing to China, I wish we would do to Israel, by the way. Like, it would be so warranted to do to Israel, and yet we will never do that to Israel. Oh my God. The dream. The dream, baby. The friggin' dream. Helicopter crashed into Hudson. The chopper broke off mid-air and dropped. Oh my Lord! Everything is happening. Everything is happening all at once.
Ven. Yo te doy tiempo para que hagas todo lo que vos quieras.
ABC has a special report on it.
Yo te doy tiempo para que vos hagas tus cosas tranquilo. Yo no te presiono.
Right now. I'll get to it in a little bit.
Cada uno.
In effect right now, and you see the markets there right now, the Dow down.
Este no es un juego a dos, esto es un juego cooperativo. No es un juego a dos, es un juego cooperativo.
Almost 3.5% there. But the big questions that I'm hearing from traders here today are sort of what are the off-ramps here to this trade war? What are the negotiations that need to be happening between these more than 75 countries in the administration? And then especially looking at China, because so many of the companies that are traded on Wall Street here have direct ties to China, get many of their products from China. So
what about taking back Chinese-owned U.S. land? It's nothing. What are you talking about? Chinese-owned U.S. land is so minuscule. Go ahead. Claw it away from the Chinese investors. Like, what are you talking about? That's just fucking meme shit. It is literally podcast meme shit, dude. Stop listening to podcasts. Holy fuck. China is like not even in the top 10 of land buyers in terms of foreign investment. It's nothing. It is so insanely marginal. It is so tiny. It is so minuscule. It's nothing.
That looks like. One analyst said to me this morning that some of these negotiations could actually center more around other things, non-tariff related things, something like with China, maybe a deal with TikTok, or even a deal with the Panama Canal. Those are the questions that they have. What is the off-ramp for this trade war for the president? So here today, I would say less uncertainty, but still a level of uncertainty about where this trade war is going, Pamela. Obviously, we're not seeing sort of those dramatic swings this morning that we've seen in the past several weeks. That is because very much investors here know we're still in the middle of this. Obviously, that's a good sign that 90-day pause went into effect yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, clearly investors are sending a signal, though, that they understand this is far from over. There's a lot to be worked out, but you do have businessmen like billionaire investor Bill Ackman, a Trump ally, celebrating this.
Yeah, Bill A. Packman. Bill Smokes Crackman. Absolute dummy. Every single one of these people that are supposed to be like
bueno, al fin un bastón amarillo.
Every single one of these people have shown that they are delusional morons. They are just regime enjoyers, even if the regime is shanking them. All the way from Elon Musk to Bill A. Packman, okay?
Pause. He was among the business leaders who had turned on the president over his tariff plans. He's now praising the pause and implementing many of those taxes. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, we know the past several days leading up to these reciprocal tariffs going into effect, Bill Ackman, who, as you mentioned, is a billionaire, he is a founder of a huge hedge fund, he was saying that these tariffs would be, I'm reading here, quoting, economic nuclear war. So he said that leading up to Wednesday's tariffs, and he was warning that this could be really terrible for the economy. Now that the president has reversed course and put this 90-day pause into effect, he is coming out and saying that, yes, he was raising concerns, but he's praising the president in what he calls the art of the deal, that the president actually did right by this deal. And Bill Ackman and other billionaires were raising those alarms for several days, but many of them are seeing a little bit more of a relief here, that the president has maybe listened to advisors, as Bill Ackman said, and really sort of put into place more of a better roadmap for billionaires right now that really, you know, they play in the stock market. They obviously have their businesses tied to the stock market, Pamela. They can be against him one day and with him the next day as they see their stocks rise, Pamela.
All right, so that's your David. Thanks so much. Let me bring in Anna Stewart. So Anna, we've been seeing European stocks rallying, not just on the news that the Americans are pausing these tariffs for 90 days, but also the fact that the Europeans were going to reverse the retaliatory tariffs that they put into effect yesterday as well. Take us through that.
Look at that rally. It's pretty strong, and that's largely because, of course, European markets are actually closed.
¿Qué te critica tu auto?
Announced. So they didn't have a rally yesterday. We're seeing it here, and I think it is being sustained as well by the fact that the EU is also going to pause for 90 days. Although the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said that while they will pause for 90 days, if negotiations are not satisfactory, our countermeasures will kick in. So a bit of a warning there. But I think for European investors, this is possibly the first time that it's actually felt like almost a reality that perhaps the US administration will negotiate with them. Up to this point, the EU has, for instance, offered 0 for 0 tariffs on industrial goods, on autos, and that's frankly been ignored. So perhaps this is an opportunity. Very different story elsewhere in the markets. Of course, Wall Street has opened lower today. The relief rally there is over, and by a number of metrics, you know, even from JP Morgan not shifting their outlook in terms of recession, keeping it at 60%. Some of these assets suggest that people are still pricing in the likelihood of a recession. Oil prices steeply lower at this stage, about 4.6% lower.
But see, I did it. I lowered the oil prices. I promised you I would do it. demand might be down in the future due to a complete collapse of global trade, but believe me, oil prices are down. I fixed it.
Under the $60 barrel, it could finish today at the lowest.
It's ironic because the last time that oil prices went down incredibly, Trump was president again, and he literally also constantly pointed to that. It was COVID. Donald Trump was like, remember how low oil was? Yeah, during COVID? Thanks, man. Yeah, it was awesome. I remember. Fantastic. People's relatives are just fucking dying in the hospital. It was awesome. Thank you, sir. You did it. Oh, it's amazing. He's doing it. He's doing it. I told you I would.
Daño físico al ataque. A ver, me sirve eso, a ver. Para.
I'm doing it again.
It's been since April 2021. We're also seeing that the US dollar fell sharply, and the bond yields, the 10-year bond yields in the US, which President Trump was concerned about, we haven't seen much of a shift there. So we've had this huge reversal, but actually a lot of the fears, a lot of the yippiness, if that is even a word, is still out there.
A lot of golf players will know exactly.
I want to turn on Mike, our international economics and policy correspondent, who has listening in, speaking, but also paying very close attention to the 30-year bond auction that we saw just a moment ago, and also the undulations that we have seen and continue to see in the markets, both in the bond market and the stock market, and the economic data that we got as well, the CPI data this morning. Mike, I just want to get your reaction to what you heard there, and maybe give us your sense of sort of what these next 90 days look like. Here we have an administration eager to broker deals, as we heard there in that meeting. That's a meeting with the realism of how difficult it is to broker trade deals historically, all the nuances and details that go into them.
Well, it took a year, more than a year, to renegotiate NAFTA, and almost nothing was changed in that treaty that came out as the USMCA. So I think you have to approach what this administration is saying about these deals with a great deal of skepticism. For example, we heard there, and we've heard from others in the administration, that 70 countries have approached the administration. But Kevin Hassett said this morning on...
Yeah, also, my favorite part about the 70 countries that have approached the American administration is that they won't reveal who the countries are. So, like, we don't even know if they approached it. I'm sure they did. Like, plenty of them have. Like, Japan, we know for a fact, approached America. And South Korea is another one. But it's like... I don't even fucking know if they... Dude, please stop. Please stop posting this. I got it. Xi Jinping unravel meme. Come on. Come on. Stop spamming.
49.
It's got auto-modded. I'm once again finding myself in this weird predicament. Because on the one hand, I'm like watching a lot of this neoliberal design unravel in real time as contradictions heighten in the hands of a madman hell-bent on death and destruction. But also, on the other hand, I can't even entertain this notion for too long because I recognize the impact that it will have on the average person in the United States of America and also around the world. It is very frustrating. It is very frustrating because, like, this sort of instability or some semblance of volatility would always happen. You need the medicine, right? Like when the body is ill and we heal the body, we do surgery, you need a little bit of medicine, and in the process, like, yeah, there's going to be some harm in the short term, but it's for a grand design. It's for health and stability in the long term. That part is true. It's just Donald Trump is not doing that. He's not doing that at all. So what's frustrating about this is, once again, he's just kind of fucking up the global economy because he's bored, if that makes sense. He's just, yeah, when I fuck up the economy because I'm bored, when I kill the global economy because I'm bored, is kind of what's happening. You're using the six-patient Trump analogy? No, it's not the wrong analogy. That analogy is not incorrect, except The patient has cancer, and Trump chopped off the fucking leg of the patient for no reason. So the cancer still remains, and now you're legless.
One of the other networks that there are 20 countries. So, I mean, what is the actual truth? And what are we actually going to get out of it? And how much of this is going to be tariff reduction? And how much of this would it have anything to do with non-tariff barriers? I mean, remember, they went after the Europeans and the British for having a VAT tax. Does that get addressed? Yeah. So, a lot of reasons to be skeptical about what they're talking about. But what we can say will happen.
Do I see an off-ramp for the Trump-China shit? Yes, I do. Given China's restraint in all things global trade, in all things foreign policy, I think China offers a aesthetic victory to Trump. But I don't even know if I can see this. I can see China offering a fig leaf to Donald Trump, like opening up a factory, like a BYD factory or some shit in America. I can see that. Maybe sweeten the deal with TikTok on the side, just to stop Trump from killing himself. And that's only because fig leaf, olive branch, whatever. I could see them doing that. It's just I don't think that America would be convincible, regardless of what China does. And that's number one. And number two, stop with the fantasy. I'm just saying, this is not what I think is going to happen. This is not what I'm saying is going to happen. You asked me if there's an off-ramp here, and even though all of these alternative scenarios are very, very unlikely, the highest likelihood of all of these alternative scenarios that are still incredibly unlikely would be China trying to give Donald Trump like an aesthetic victory here. Having said that, I don't think America would take that and then go, okay, we're good now. Because Donald Trump has shown, once again, that he is not interested in reason.
Happen is if these other tariffs that are already in place stay in place, we will see prices go up, and we will see the economy slow down. It's going to be very interesting. These are very heavily weighted, obviously, towards China, and we import a lot of stuff from China. So how is that going to affect the American consumer's psyche if they can't get things from China?
Well, and investor psyche as well. After the remarkable gains of yesterday, the best day since 2008, obviously we have a massive reversal on our hands with 5% losses on both the S&P.
I do want to say something here, but like, if Donald Trump hadn't done this, I know for a fucking fact, you will never convince me on this, I know for a fact that China would just not fuck up the bag and would continue doing what it's doing without actually escalating or at any point trying to undermine American hegemony. There is 0% chance. They want stability. They want stability because in that stability as the dollar is still the superpower, they get to do things within this system that allow Chinese prosperity to fucking happen. I don't think China shill. Okay, well, this is perhaps one of the snipers many instances where we are in my moment of vindication. Like, you're living through my China shill vindication moment, and yet you're still saying I'm a China shill. It's pretty funny. I have found myself vindicated many times over on a lot of the things I speak about in terms of foreign policy, in terms of American long-term instability. But this is like coming in here in this very moment as America is undermining its own hegemonic power in the hands of seemingly a fucking madman. And you're still over here being like, you're China shill. Okay. I think you will arrive at my position eventually. long-term watchers already know what my opinion is here, you know?
S&P 500 and even greater for the NASDAQ 100. And